Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of sometimes dense, always insightful sources, and we extract the concentrated knowledge you need fast.
Yeah?
Today, we are undertaking a deep dive that sits right at the intersection of hard biology and, well, daily life. We're tackling two major topics.
Great ones.
First, the precise biological impact of fasting on your stress hormones. And second, a really targeted nutritional blueprint designed for women navigating those significant hormonal shifts of midlife.
It's a powerful combination, because they both speak to the same underlying truth, which is that rhythm and timing are, well, they're everything.
Okay.
So our mission today is to synthesize an in-depth academic study, one that details how a 24-hour fast immediately alters the daily rhythms of cortisol and DHEA.
Right.
And put that right alongside a practical, expert-backed strategy for managing perimenopause and menopause through diet and, you guessed it, timing. We're connecting the fundamental why from the science to the practical how we can apply it.
Okay, let's unpack this. If we're going to talk about rhythm, we have to start with the foundational chemical players, the ones that dictate so much of our energy and our metabolism.
Cortisol and DHEA.
Cortisol and DHEA.
And this all begins with something called chronobiology. It's the science of biological timing. Every single process in your body, from your sleep cycles to cell division, it shows rhythmic variability.
See, built-in rhythm.
A built-in rhythm. And these are all orchestrated by the body's master clock. It's the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, deep in the hypothalamus. Think of it as the conductor of the whole orchestra.
Okay, I like that analogy.
So cortisol and DHEA secretion, they're completely time-dependent. They're regulated by this clock, which is synchronized by external cues, mostly sleep and wake cycles, and as we're about to see, food.
And cortisol is the heavy hitter here. We call it the stress hormone, but it's really the body's ultimate metabolic manager, right? It's all about homeostasis. It's critical for how you process carbs, lipids, proteins. It stimulates the body to make new sugar gluconeogenesis and increases fat breakdown, lipolysis. This is why it's so tightly linked to stress and weight. And there's also that common understanding that visceral fat tissue can really amplify elevated cortisol levels.
And working right alongside it, you have DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone. It's secreted synchronously with cortisol. So they're both released in response to the same signals.
It's the same cascade.
It's the same cascade. DHEA itself is a weak androgen, a precursor to stronger sex hormones, but its benefits are much broader. It's got documented anti-obesity, anti-diabetic, even anti-atherosclerotic properties. It's highly protective.
So you've got this mobilizing catabolic hormone, cortisol, and then a protective, almost restorative one, DHEA, released in lockstep. But the relationship, the balance between them, that's what's really key, isn't it?
Absolutely. The ratio is vital. The balance of cortisol to DHEA is a huge marker for researchers when they're looking at, say, metabolic and cardiovascular outcomes in obese patients. DHEA provides that necessary counterbalance. It works to mitigate the breaking down effects of cortisol.
And this gets more important as we age.
It becomes crucial because DHEA concentration naturally and gradually decreases over time, which makes that protective counter effect much harder to maintain.
That sets the stage perfectly. So we know how the system is supposed to run. But what happens when you throw a wrench in the works, like a sudden 24-hour fast?
Right.
We looked at a really detailed study on this, 49 obese patients, and they underwent a 24-hour water-only fast while they were already in a 3-week calorie restriction diet.
And the rigor of the data collection here is what makes this study just so powerful. They took saliva samples at 2 to 3 hour intervals over 64 consecutive hours.
Wow, that's intensive.
It is. And it let them compare 3 full days. Day 1, pre-fast. Day 2, the fast day itself. And day 3, the post-fast recovery day. And crucially, they weren't just measuring the total amount of the hormone.
They were measuring the rhythm.
They were measuring the shape of the rhythm, using 3 very specific chronobiological terms.
Can we just pause on those terms for a second? Because they're clinical, but they really tell the whole story. We keep hearing mesor, amplitude, and acrophase.
Yeah, let's break that down. Imagine a graph of your hormone levels over 24 hours. The mesor is just the mean value, the average level across the whole day.
Baby average.
The amplitude is how high and how low that wave goes. So the difference between the daily maximum and minimum.
The size of the swing.
Exactly. And the acrophase is the timestamp. It's the technical term for when the peak value occurs. Those 3 things define the rhythm.
Got it. Okay, so let's get to the cortisol findings. Because the most counterintuitive part, and maybe the most important, is that the fast didn't change the total amount of cortisol.
That's the key. The area under the curve, the total output over 24 hours was identical. Pre-fast and during the fast, the same amount.
But the rhythm itself.
The rhythm completely shifted. While the total volume of the hormone was stable, fasting significantly altered the timing and the intensity of that daily cycle. The cortisol amplitude, that swing, increased by 11% on the fasting day.
And here's the jaw-dropping detail for me, the acrophase. The timing of the peak shifted dramatically forward. Cortisol peaked a full 48 minutes earlier on the day they fasted compared to the day before.
48 minutes?
And it was still peaking 39 minutes earlier than the day after the fast. That's an immediate, near 1 hour shift. It strongly suggests that food intake is just a profound synchronizer for the HPA axis, the system that controls cortisol.
The implication there is huge. I mean, if your cortisol, the hormone that drives alertness and mobilizes fat and sugar, if that peaks almost an hour earlier than normal, you're essentially advancing your entire metabolic day.
So you might crash earlier, or your hunger cues would ramp up way before your normal lunchtime.
Exactly. The body is reading the lack of incoming food as a major time signal.
Now, what about DHEA? What happened there?
They also found important changes. The mean level, the mesor of DHEA, actually increased. It went up by 11% on the fasting day.
Interesting.
And this is notable because the researchers pointed out this was the first study to specifically track how fasting impacts the DHEA rhythm. Like cortisol, the total amount didn't change, but the daily pattern did. And its average level went up, which, given its protective role, you could see that as a beneficial response to the stress of fasting.
And we have to talk about the subgroup nuances here.
Yeah.
Because this is what connects the research directly to our listener. When they split the data by gender,
Yes.
it was the women who showed the changes in both cortisol amplitude and acrophase. Men did not show the same immediate rhythm shifts.
That's right. So women's HPA axis seemed to be more acutely sensitive to this specific fasting intervention. That's an extremely important finding when we consider metabolic health protocols tailored for them.
It really is. And age was a factor too, right? Specifically with DHEA.
It was. Aging didn't seem to influence the daily cortisol rhythm in this group, but all three DHEA parameters, the mesor, amplitude, and acrophase, they all changed significantly with age, especially in patients over 50.
What was the trend?
A trend toward a reduction in mean levels in amplitude and a delayed peak. So if DHEA is already going down with age and its rhythm is becoming more muted and delayed, any intervention that can modulate its mean level, like the fast did, becomes really worth exploring.
That academic foundation it's just so clear. It shows how immediately and forcefully food timing impacts our fundamental hormone rhythms.
Yeah.
And especially that sensitivity in women and the decline of DHEA with age, it provides the perfect transition.
It really does.
Because now we can move from the lab to the real world, specifically for women experiencing that massive hormonal flux in midlife.
We're talking about perimenopause and menopause, and perimenopause can start really subtly, in the late 30s or early 40s. It's marked by these hormonal shifts that lead to hot flashes, mood swings, anxiety, weight gain, that pervasive brain fog.
Ugh, the brain fog.
Yeah. And the perspective we're drawing from suggests the issue isn't just the hormone levels themselves, but the whole system getting thrown out of balance. The immune system, the gut, the metabolism, they all struggle as those key hormones decline.
So the core philosophy of the practical protocol we're looking at, this hormone havoc approach, is crystal clear. Nutrition must be the first line of intervention.
The first line, not a secondary fix. The right diet, strategically timed, can dramatically reduce those symptoms and actively mitigate the increased risk of serious diseases that comes with these changes, like heart disease, depression, osteoporosis.
It's about proactive nutritional optimization then.
It is. During this transition, your body just needs more support. That means increasing your protein, your high-quality fiber, probiotics, specific vitamins and minerals. The goal is to realign and nourish the whole system, especially healing the gut-brain connection, which is highly sensitive to these hormonal fluctuations.
Okay, so to make that massive goal manageable, the protocol introduces a very clear, actionable framework. It's the 30-33 nutritional blueprint. This is where the rubber meets the road for anyone listening.
It simplifies the daily focus into 3 non-negotiables. First, 30 grams of protein in your first meal of the day. Second, 30 grams of fiber consumed daily. And third, 3 probiotic foods every day to balance the microbiome.
Let's break that down. 30 grams of protein, that is a substantial start to the day. Is the source material specific about why the first meal is the priority?
It's all about metabolic control and curbing cravings later on. Delivering that high protein load first helps stabilize your blood sugar right out of the gate. That leads to sustained energy, and it significantly reduces the likelihood of those energy dips and cravings in the afternoon that can derail everything.
And it supports muscle mass.
Which becomes so much harder to maintain as estrogen drops, yes.
Okay, and 30 grams of fiber. That's probably double what a lot of people consume. What's the specific role of that high fiber intake here?
Fiber is the foundation of gut health, and gut health is essential for hormone balance. The fiber diversifies and strengthens your gut microbiome, which is critical for two things: absorbing nutrients efficiently and helping the body properly process and excrete excess hormones. It helps clear the system.
Right. And then finally, the 3 probiotic foods. Can you give us some quick examples? Because people often just think of yogurt.
They absolutely should look beyond yogurt, especially since the protocol suggests limiting dairy at first. 3 probiotic foods could look like a daily serving of sauerkraut, a small glass of high-quality kombucha, and maybe some naturally fermented pickles. The goal is consistent, diverse bacterial input.
Okay, so beyond those numbers, what does the overall eating strategy look like?
Well, the overall diet is structured to reduce inflammation and optimize nutrient uptake. It's predominantly plant-based. And critically, it suggests eliminating gluten and dairy initially.
To calm the system down.
Exactly. The focus is heavily on increasing fiber-rich, prebiotic vegetables, onions, garlic, leeks alongside healthy proteins, quality plant-based fats like avocado and nuts, and those fermented foods. The experts stress that since obesity has almost tripled globally since 1975, and excess weight amplifies menopausal symptoms, this nutritional intervention has to be the starting point.
So we've covered the what to eat, but we opened this entire deep dive talking about rhythm and timing. The fasting studies show the importance of the cortisol peak timing. And this practical protocol also emphasizes the when. It pairs the diet with what they call circadian fasting.
And this is the perfect synthesis moment. Circadian fasting is simply aligning your eating window with your body's natural 24-hour cycle. You are essentially using the absence of food to reinforce your biological clock, just like the 24-hour fast did in the academic study.
So you're aiming for something like a 12 to 14-hour overnight fast.
Typically, yes. Ensuring that all your food intake happens during the daylight and early evening hours, which supports the body's natural metabolic slowdown as you head into sleep.
The connection between our two sources is, well, it's undeniable now. We saw in the lab that a lack of food immediately shifted stress hormone timing. It's a huge synchronizer. And now, in the real-world protocol, they're telling women to precisely time their eating and fasting to achieve that same synchronization.
Precisely. Both sources highlight this profound influence of food intake, or the lack of it, on our deepest biological rhythms, specifically with cortisol and DHEA. We often think of hormones as just being controlled by age or genetics, but this shows they are constantly being directed by our environment, especially when we choose to eat.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We started with the academic certainty that a single 24-hour fast immediately shifts the timing of your body's main stress hormone, cortisol, by nearly an hour. We then saw that for women facing hormonal chaos, nutritional timing, implemented through circadian fasting, is an essential component of a successful protocol.
It's not optional.
It's not optional. Nutrition isn't just passive fuel. It's a powerful chronometer for your body. It literally tells your internal clock what time it is.
The synthesis is clear, and it leaves us with a powerful thought to take away. If even a temporary restriction can shift the peak of your body's primary stress hormone by almost an hour, affecting systems that govern your mood, your energy, your metabolism, what subtle long-term disruption might your regular, maybe erratic eating schedule be imposing on those same daily rhythms? The question you should mull over is this. Considering the immediate power of timing, how could precisely managing the timing of those crucial 30 grams of protein and 30 grams of fiber, how could that potentially help resynchronize your entire system for improved health and wellness as you navigate midlife? It moves the focus from what you restrict to when you nourish,